Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here, and you're just asking questions because you're a stupid person.
Your DOJ IG just reported this year that there was thorough vetting by DHS and by the FBI of these Afghans who were brought into the U.S. So why do you blame the Biden administration
Because
for
they
what
let
this
them
man
in.
did?
Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came on a plane along with thousands of other people that shouldn't be here, and you're just asking questions because you're a stupid person. And there's a law passed that it's almost impossible not to get them out. You can't get them out once they come in. And they came in, and they were unvetted, they were unchecked, there were many of them, and they came in on big planes, and it was disgraceful. And if you look, you'll see there was a law passed. It makes it almost impossible not to let them in, not to certify them, so to speak, once they come in. And they came in, and they shouldn't have come in. And frankly, the whole thing was a mess. The whole Afghanistan situation was a mess. It should have never taken place.
Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Double honor to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, love, salutations, and blessings to the house of David, which is the elect. And as you see on the screen, it was a proverb, right? I seen this earlier today, and I just been meditating on it. As it says, when a clown moves into a palace, he doesn't become a king. The palace becomes a circus. Okay, and as you see, there's a depiction of Trump dressed up as a clown. And when you see the state of the world, right, and knowing that Babylon the Great is the the head nation, of Esau's rulership, right, Esau's age that we're living in, as we see we're coming to an end. It's very befitting to have this individual in the power seat. Okay, and as I also played in the beginning of the clip, or beginning of this video, the clip of him calling the reporter a stupid person because she questioned him about some policy or whatso have you, and come to find out that she was actually correct, right, and he was lying about what what he was saying. And there's been numerous of occasions where he's been called out on something or giving false information, or being asked a question that he doesn't want to answer, or that puts him in a corner or a bad light. And instead of responding with nobility, right, or responding gracefully, he just lashes out and starts to attack, right, the reporter, right, use ad hominems, right. The other week, or last week rather, he had called the one woman Miss Piggy, or he told her to be quiet, Piggy, or something to that effect. And there's plenty of videos you can see where he does that, right, that he continuously assaults the reporters that are asking him valid questions. So like I had to answer a phone call, but as I was saying, he continuously is being exposed, right, as being incompetent, to the very least, about what is happening, or things that he should have knowledge of. He doesn't really have those answers. Okay, and this is ultimately because you have an unwise ruler, right? And whether it's Trump, right, whether it's Biden, right, whether it's Kamala, right, whether it's whoever, at the end of the day, they all are unwise, right? They all are, incompetent. They all are unfit rulers because they're not ruling in the fear of the Lord. All right. And this is what, King David spoke about in the book of 2 Samuel, the 23rd chapter. And I'll read it, verse 2. It says, "The Spirit of the Lord spake by me, and his word was in my tongue. The God of Israel said, the God of Israel said, the rock of Israel spake to me, He that ruleth over men must be just, ruling in the fear of the Most High. All right. And it's obvious that Trump does not rule in the fear of the Most High. All right. And mainly because even out of his own mouth. Right. And we know that these people are not, Bible believing individuals. However, they project themselves as being such, but he even said that to him, that he doesn't believe he's heaven bound. And if he doesn't believe he's heaven bound, that means that it's because he doesn't do the things that would afford him to make it into quote unquote heaven, which would be what? Following the ways of the Bible, right? Following the ways of the Lord, right? And because he says he doesn't believe he's heaven bound, that goes to show that he knows that, he doesn't do those things, right? And that's just one of many examples, right, of the fact that these people that are in authority, right, which right now we're living in the kingdom of Esau, Edom, that they are unfit, they are unwise rulers, right? The scriptures also speaks about that when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, but when the wicked bear the rule, the people mourn, right? And that's all you see happening, right? When you listen, when you speak to people on a day-to-day, when you see the statistics, when you see how people are complaining about their standard of living, the cost of living, everybody is mourning in one way, shape, or another. Okay. And it's because there's an error that proceedeth from the ruler. All right. And the Lord has set this up, right, where he's given, the earth into the hand of the wicked. All right. He set up the basis of man, and is really, as a punishment for us, right, who the world, was truly created for, right, who the ones that are supposed to be in rulership, and also for us to understand, the consequences of ruling unjustly, the consequences of ruling outside of the fear of the Most High. Okay, and the way that you see Esau's kingdom, right, crumbling is once again, it's because the people that are in authority are not nobles, right? They're not people that are supposed to be in the seat of judgment. All right, the seat of judgment is supposed to be given unto the first and foremost Yahushai, and then also the joint heirs with him, which are the elect. And those, once that judgment is given unto them, that's when you're going to see righteousness, right, flourish on the earth. Okay, and with that righteousness flourishing, you're going to see peace flourish. All right, that's why Yahushua is known as the Prince of Peace. See, Trump over here trying to put that title on himself, but what is he actually doing? Right, he's only just causing more chaos, more war, more terror, right, more confusion. You see, but when the true Prince of Peace comes, which in righteousness he is going to judge and make war, but it's going to be for the purpose to establishing peace. That's why the scripture says that the nations are going to learn war no more. The nations are not learning war, right? The double negative, while Esau is in rulership. Matter of fact, it tells you that once he's been, given that authority, right? In Revelation 6, verse verse 4, and there went out another horse that was red, which that is a symbol, right, of representation of Esau, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. Okay, that is the power that this devil has, right? That is what Isaac blessed Esau with, right? The sword. And that's why it says, in that they shall kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. See? So the Lord had it preordained that when this devil gets into authority, right, when he gets into rulership, when he gets into the power seat, that peace was going to be taken from the earth. Okay? And that is clearly what you see happening in the world today, right? That is why World War III nuclear war talk is so commonly spoken, because the one that has power in the earth right now, right? His energy is to do what? Is to take peace from the earth, right? Is to bring death, As Yahweh Shai said, the thief cometh not but for to steal, kill, and destroy. Okay, so getting this next scripture in Ecclesiastes 10, verse 15, it says, the labor, Salakia, verse 16, it says, woe to thee, O land, when thy king is a child, and thy princes eat in the morning. All right, and when you go into this word child, it's a servant, right? Because really Esau is a servant, right? Esau isn't an actual noble, right? That's why even when he was setting up his his sons, they were called dukes. They weren't kings, okay? They weren't royalty, you see. But now, because the earth has been given into the hand of the wicked, as it tells us in Ecclesiasticus, right, 10 verse 4, the earth is in the power of the Lord, and in due time he will set one over it that is profitable, which lets you know by default that right now a person that is ruling or one that is set over it right now is not profitable, right? Esau is not profitable. His way of ruling is not profitable unto the earth, unto the animals, unto the nations, unto the people. Okay, that is why in the scriptures it speaks about after that period of 1,000 years of that rod of iron, rigorous rulership, that these nations are going to love our dominion. They're going to love the fact that Israel rules. Okay, that's why our gates are going to be open continually. That men shall bring in gifts. They're going to bring in their wealth. It's going to be at first by force, but then afterwards they're going to see the benefit of Israel being in authority. Right now, people are seeing the problem with Esau in authority. And this is why it's a blessing, right? As it says in Sirach, the 25th chapter, right? One of the pleasures in life is to see the downfall of your enemy. Okay, we're seeing a downfall of this devil, right? His circus, his circus act is being brought to the forefront, right? As it says in the book of Jeremiah, is there any more wisdom in Teman? Okay, is there any more wisdom in Teman? And the answer is no. All they have left is their sorcery, right? But that's not even working, right? The ability to use the sleight of the hand to try to manipulate your understanding or manipulate your focus, that is not even working that much because this truth is out. Okay, and as the scripture says that the deceit was going to be quenched. Okay, and the truth that has been so long with our fruits, that was going to be declared. And since that has been declared, the house of cards is fallen. All right, so going back, reading that again in Ecclesiastes 10 verse 16, woe to thee, O land, when thy king is a servant. Right, I made mention, right, that the Lord said that he ruleth in the kingdoms of men, and he set over it the bases of men, right? The base man. Who is the base man? The serpent. That is why he is called the serpent, right? And when you look at a serpent, right, that type of creature, the scripture says what, that the dust is their food. All right, they can't walk, right? They don't have any ability to separate themselves from the ground. Like even an ant has little legs, or whatever you want to call them, where they don't actually have their stomach, right, their body on the ground. But when it comes to a snake, they don't have that, right? A serpent doesn't have a way to separate their bodies from the ground. Now, of course, they can like lift up part of their bodies, but when they want to move, their bodies has to slither on the ground, and that is Esau, right? He can never be lifted up in a position of nobility, right? He can never be lifted up in a position of righteousness. Okay, so when he moves, it's always in a base manner. But because he is a serpent, he's able to make it deceive, right, and use his slickness to get around to do things. But just like how the Lord set him up, as the scripture says in 2 Samuel, he set up kings and he puts them down. And the putting down of this devil is going to be, the welfare of the world, right? It's going to Isaiah 14. How has the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased, right? The fair trees shall rejoice and say, since thou has been put down, no feller has come up against thee. All let me pull that up, right? That is because you get in this circus, you're getting this clown out of the position, out of the palace. Okay, the clown isn't supposed to be in the palace, man. He is a court jester, right? He is supposed to be, there to be mocked and ridiculed, and that's exactly what you're seeing happen in the kingdom. The skirt is going to be completely unlifted, and that's why, as it says in Isaiah 14, all they are going to narrowly look upon thee. All right, let me get that. Isaiah 14, verse 16. And they that shall see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? See, is this the clown that was in the palace, that was acting as a king? But look at him, right? Look at what he did to his palace. Look at what he did to his kingdom. It wasn't even actually palace. It was, as it says, it was turned into a circus. And then that's why everybody is looking at Babylon the Great in particular as a shit show, right? That's why everybody looks at this place and nobody has respect unto it, because the people that are representative of it are not respectable. Okay? When you over here left every other day, you just attacking your free press. Like, that happens nowhere. You want to talk about China being a communist state, right? Korea being, dictatorship. You don't see any videos of that coming out from them, right? Their people, however you want to deem how it happens, but their people are in order. Okay? But here you got no king's protest, right? You got shots being rained out right in front of the White House. You got to put barbed wires up, okay? Because you are not supposed to be in that position. And this is only going to continue, right? This is only going to continue until you be taken out of the way. And that is when you get taken out of the way, everybody's going to see you for who you really are, which is a clown, which is a base man, which is a servant in the bases of them. Okay. We get this popular one, Sirach chapter 10, verse 1. A wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. And there's no prudency amongst Esau, right? And the only type of prudence he has is left-handed. His wisdom is perverted. Okay, but he's not prudent in a sense of forwarding, humanity and making things better. He's the only thing that he is doing is just causing more decadency. That's why the scripture says to destroy him which destroyeth the earth. Right? To destroy him which destroys the earth. And you can clearly see that he is destroying the earth. And that word destroy, as I always mention, goes into moral decay and ethical decay. And whether it be the so-called left, right, the Democrats, or the so-called right, the Republicans, both sides is a part of the same beast. And in that agenda and their whole concept of ruling is only just furthering the ethical and morality of society. Okay? Reading on verse 2, it says, as the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. In what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. An unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited. All right, in this city, right, this kingdom, Babylon the Great, is not inhabited in a way of people rejoicing, all right, about it being inhabited. You got people wanting to leave, right? If this is supposed to be the greatest kingdom, right? Greatest country on earth. Why do you have the actual American citizens that want to leave? Okay, a debt at an all-time high. All right, and the scripture speaks about, he that ladeth himself with thick clay, right? That's a curse. So the way that you do your economics, the way that you run your supply and demand system, all of that is broken, man. The city of confusion is broken. And it's because of what? No matter what try to policies and what different type of people you put into position, it's ultimately because you do not rule with the fear of the Lord, because you're a fool, right? And the scripture tells you that a fool saying in his heart that there is no God. Okay. And what is a clown likened unto? A fool. Right? That is what a clown is likened unto, a fool. And if you are a fool, then what is the house? Right? Your palace becomes a circus, nothing but a complete, clown house, for lack of a better word. So I'm gonna get this here, close it out. Wisdom of Solomon 6 verse 4, it says, but being ministers of his kingdom, ye have not judged aright, nor kept the law, nor walked after the counsel of God. Horribly and speedily shall he come upon you, for a sharp judgment shall be to them that be in high places. For mercy for mercy soon parteth the meanest, but mighty men shall be tormented. All right. So the Lord is going to take you out of the seat of authority, man. All right. He's going to set up one that is profitable, and one that the earth was created for. All right. And through that, you're going to see just how low Esau's kingdom is, and just how foolish he is, when you see the beauty of the Israelites in authority, man, and how we're going to use the earth for its fullness, and it's going to become a paradise again. And it's all because we're going to rule in the fear of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, and establishing those his guideline, his laws. All right. So Lord willing, this was edifying unto the elect, giving all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Shalom.